Hello and welcome to Nigeria Now, where we give you updates on things that are happening currently in the country. I'm Sada Elisha Dasho, and of course, I will be doing the program alongside Rachel Tansy. Good afternoon, Rachel.
Afternoon,
It seems
Sarah.
there's this joy I get each time I'm about to introduce you. I wonder why.
I don't know, maybe because we just make a good team here.
Of course,
Yes,
Rachel. Thank you so much for doing this with me.
you're
All
welcome.
right, and tell viewers, do remember that you can drop your comment, your views on our, social media handles, Facebook, YouTube, any of the handles that you can watch us live. Please do well to drop your comment and your views because they are always welcome. Well, we have about two to three other issues we would love to discuss. We will touch a little of business and economy, and as well we'll look at what is happening on the health sector, and then other aspects as well, looking at some of the policies that government will be making. So do well to join us. Now, we would love to start with that of the health sector, looking at the fact that the NCDC have actually pronounced cholera crisis. Now, we are aware that for quite some weeks right now in Nigeria, we have been going through that epidemic, talking about the issue of cholera, especially in Lagos State, where we're seeing that the number of deaths is actually increasing, as well as even talking about casualty victims. And it's very, very important that we see that the Nigeria Control Disease and Prevention will actually look into what can they do. They have even emergency, numbers that they are actually working towards, so that in case of any emergency, if you see any symptom, you do call them so that there will be fast measures that will be taken. And just like, I think this is not the first time we're talking about the issue of cholera, but
Yes.
then it's something that I think that it's high time the Nigerian Center for Disease
Mm.
Control and Prevention really, take it serious, because right now, as it is, Rachel, we're looking at taking more measures, more like during the COVID-19, because this is what
Yes.
I'm looking at
Mm-hmm.
presently. A number of people have been forced to change their lifestyle. So for people who have been patronizing all these food vendors, if you should actually go to them, they'll tell you that they have really, really loose patronage
Of
because
course,
people
they
are
will.
scared. And we
Yes.
saw, I think, from yesterday down to today in the papers in the morning, where even warning of some of this, such as this zobo, all these things that are
Mm-hmm.
being you make with
Yeah.
water, and you're not sure of the hygiene of the people who are preparing it. For now, people have been asked to stop taking that, except you are sure of who made it and the hygiene. I know that one of the key issue that the Nigerian Center for Disease Control is looking into, even though we saw yesterday the government looking at the fact that they need to analyze the water, because the source of water has been the number one
Mm.
issue we're having. And even before the cholera, the issue of water in Nigeria is really something I think that the federal government needs to take a proper look at,
Of
because
course.
we have places that do not have safe drinking water.
Mm-hmm.
The this culture of washing of our hands, it might look like something that you were taught far back in your primary one, but it's
Yes.
something that is very, very important, washing of your hands,
Mm.
because this is a direct contact you have
Yeah.
and all of that. So I'm excited that this measure is taken. We're even seeing fact that with states such as Ogun State are actually having one case as well, one death they have recorded there,
Yeah.
or your state are saying that for the meantime they have been asked not to eat certain food. So we're seeing that presently, I think about 31 states have been affected, over 100 and something local government areas. So it's really something that the government needs to take seriously,
They
NGOs
do.
need to take seriously, as well as individuals. We need to take this seriously.
No wonder you have Peter will be saying something like 400 boreholes is a welcome project than a private jet
Jet
for the
through.
president. Because when you look at it, we need a government that prioritizes.
Mm,
Just as you talked about safe drinking water, this is a waterborne disease.
mm,
So whether we like it, is mostly what we consume and is mostly water, contaminated water. That's why kunu, zobo, and all of these unprocessed foods like
mm,
are in danger because you used water and it's mostly true water. And then, of course, if you are selling Kuno and Zobo, you know that this season is bad business for you. And if you're also a food vendor
mm,
that is into all these salads, anything raw that can put people at risk,
mm,
you are in danger. And then, now this is where, for me, right,
mm,
what are states doing preventive measures? Now, we already have states that already affected, having cases coming up left, right, center, even states that didn't have a case. Now they have it. And we saw earlier today in our papers that one of the threats is shortage of vaccine. Now, for the states that are yet to record these cases, I believe it's preventive methods. You don't wait till it gets to your state and then you start having the problem. So how do you go about it? You begin to stock up with these vaccines and treatment. You create when it came to COVID, is quarantine. But this is also a similar case to COVID, just as you said, because it's now breaking, like it's moving from one person to another. There's an outbreak of it. So what do? You now create a unit, an active response unit for cholera, where people can be kept differently, and you make sure that there are vaccines and treatment for it and everything needed for it. We have in Lagos State where there's going to be a test of the water. I hope it has been done. We've not gotten any update yet concerning that. But then why should you wait till it gets to your place? Now, this is to states that are yet to be affected, because we can see that it's moving from state to another. Exactly. And then there's just so much that we can do for ourselves individually, in as much as washing hand has been underrated. Like, we always wait till there's a problem before we wash our hands. If it is your habit, I'm sure you're sitting down home and you're like, well, washing of hands is my habit, I don't have to worry about it. Yes, sanitize others concerning it. Also, let them know what they need to do. And for me, it's just for the states that you are yet to have. That is just where I want to lay emphasis on today. Do something about it quickly. Do something about it quickly. Don't wait until it gets to your state. Because if you don't do anything about it, you would have casualties that you're not supposed to have. Because when it gets to your state and you're prepared, you are going to save that soul. But when you are not prepared, you will definitely lose someone to cholera because you did not prepare. You waited till it came to your doorsteps, and that will be late by that time. So let states do what they can do immediately. If it is emergency response, I need to see an emergency approach to it, because a lot of times when we say emergency, that is when you see nothing or little being done. I really hope to see an approach that looks like we are taking this seriously.
While you were talking about the vaccine, I remember in the morning when I just chipped in and said I was concerned because they said this vaccine are made available to private hospitals, not public hospitals. And I raised out the cry, the fact that we know that most Nigerians presently cannot afford to go to the private hospital. So what is the government doing to make sure that this vaccine is made available to those who are patronizing the public hospitals? So I really hope that, just like you said, we don't need to wait until it's now in Plateau State and they will start looking at, okay, how can we make sure that it's made available, not the private and public hospital? No. Right now, I'm looking forward to seeing the Commissioner of Health in every state level putting so much pressure on their own state governor to make sure that, let's just be prepared. Just in case the thing is here, so we are already prepared. I think this was how we fought COVID. Even though we waited until COVID landed as if it was actually having legs before we did something about it. So I'm hoping that that is the approach we'll see, just like you rightly mentioned. Now, we're seeing that, I think, since yesterday we've been having, or even last week, we've been having concern about Dangote refinery, where we're seeing there have been complaints coming from marketers, the fact that they do not patronize Dangote oil because they said it's more expensive. So they rather patronize imported cheap oil. And we remember Dangote saying that most of this oil are adulterated. So really, that has been the concern. Then back and forth, I see operators are saying, please, the government of Nigeria needs to actually, come in and see what they'll be able to do so that Dangote will be able to have sufficient oil. We see where Dangote is actually accusing the oil companies in Nigeria being the reason why all of this is happening. So it's a little bit messy, but I'm hoping, I remember clearly when he launched his refinery last year, there was so much of happiness and joy in Nigeria, and we're looking forward to seeing that will actually trigger the Nigerian government to do something about their refinery. But this is the only one we have for now, and then it seems as if a number of our marketers do not want to patronize him because they say his price is very high and all of that.
Yeah.
But I think this is really where the government needs to come in and see how they'll be able to breach in the gap so that
They
we
have
can have
to,
us
yeah.
patronizing the Dangote refinery, because this is ours. So I'm hoping that the federal government will do as operators are seeking, because it's taking some turns that I really do not
Yes.
like. But I'm hoping that the federal government will be able to curtail it before it gets out of hand eventually.
Even if it bears the name Dangote Sele, as far as I'm concerned, that refinery is our refinery. The loan that funded that refinery was gotten from the Central Bank of Nigeria. Either way, it is a Nigerian money that sponsored that refinery. All of it didn't come out from Dangote's pocket or the group, and all of that. We had the Central Bank of Nigeria being able to give loans that was under the CBN Governor Emefiele. Were able to give loan to this refinery, and then we have a Dangote refinery. I know that information had a mixed feeling, like, why are we loaning a Dangote money to do his refinery when we could have done that for our own? Either way, we can put that aside and say, you know what, this is still our refinery because it's in our shores. Now, let's not forget the fact that Dangote is a capitalist.
True.
Of course. And then what that entails is that there is no government subsidy for Dangote, while we've had subsidy for all the petrol imported, and we are still having rumors of subsidies still paid for the oil coming into the country. Now, also, Dangote had the issue of importing his crude oil into the country. He imports the oil into the country, and recently allegations of saying IOCs are trying to sabotage his refinery because they are not allowing him have access to the proper crude oil. At the same time, they have been giving plenty license for companies to bring in dirty oil and all of that. Now, if we are now to take it further to the to what is going on right now, is that whether we like it or not, Dangote refinery needs crude oil from our shores. First of all, that is where the government needs to come in and intervene, just as you said, because we need to have oil on our shores affordable. Because these marketers on the other side also needs profit. So if Dangote's price is expensive, that what is being imported into the country is already bad market for them. Dangote on the other side needs to gain. These marketers needs to gain also. And then therefore federal government needs to step in. And I say this is also as a result of when nobody does the work that is needful. It's almost like nobody looks far into the future when it comes to a lot of the things that is going on in our countries. Like, we can talk about policies, but then let's now bring it to this. If the Central Bank of Nigeria is giving Dangote refinery money to do a refinery, why would we have certain papers, because this is not easy, by the NNPCL, some merger, some memorandum of understanding, some business transaction, some signing, some synergy, left, right, center, where Dangote refinery gets crude oil directly from the NNPCL, because this is our own refinery. Why wasn't talks about that before now? Why wasn't some synergy, some business plan, some strategies to put things in place that, you know what, there is going to be, because yes, we need to meet our OPEC quota and all of that, but we also need our own refinery on our own soil, having access to our crude oil directly, because the price is going to be the same whether you're shipping it out there or you're giving it to someone on your soil. There is a standard price per barrel when it comes to crude oil. Why isn't that kind of certain agreement directly, so that we will be able to have, because I feel that that would have been the best way the federal government would have stepped into this situation, not leaving our refinery, but then the Dangote refinery in the hands of the middlemen and having other people trying to sabotage it and all of that. Because in the end, it has to be a win-win for us. It has to be a win-win for everybody. It has to be a win for Dangote Group. It has to be a win for marketers. And then it also has to be a win for the Nigerian government and also for the Nigerian citizens. There should have been a balance way before now, but when certain things are not being put in place, there's always an outcome. However, nobody was there when certain decisions were made regarding the refinery, regarding the chain of supply for crude oil and all of that. But we can't just help but ponder and give our own opinion according to how things should have played out. And this is the effect when certain things are being neglected.
Well, just like you said, Rachel, we hope that the government will step in by making sure he actually have access, as well as making sure that the crude oil he's getting access is not more than the price of the global oil in the market, because that has been another concern, that the price is getting it is above the global market price, and it's really not right. So if he buys it at that high price, you can imagine how much it's going to sell. I remember, was it earlier where we saw the price of diesel was cheaper coming from Dangote and all of that. So I am hoping that, just like you said, let us not sabotage his business. I think this is where I'm really concerned. We really need him to be thriving above water, so the government should do all that they need. Now, just to round up the show, we're seeing the issue of misinformation and fake news being a top concern to the Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, where he said he really have to applaud the media for being out there to give information, out there to make sure that, you know what, a number of Nigerians depend on what they get from the media out there. And therefore, the need for correct information and the right news is very, very important. I mean, we've heard times whereby a particular news is out and then we'll see people coming and circulating a number of fake news. So here we're seeing that the Minister of Information and Orientation is making emphasis on the fact that, you know what, we need correct news, the right news to be circulating, because having fake news is more like actually having terrorism, because he said terrorism is not about being physical, but it's an ideology. And a number of people take in, and that is why we've been talking about education a number of times here, because when you are exposed to the wrong thing, you work with that wrong information for a long period of time. So only God can actually tell the information the likes of their Boko Haram had what make you feel that education is bad, and that is a misinformation they have been working on, causing havoc and all of that. So I really think that we should have backing for this particular thing. I'm really happy with such things coming out, as well as him applauding the media for doing their best so far, giving news, numbers of people being rescued and all of that. But then let us see the backing coming from the federal government as well. We've had a number of journalists being arrested in their places of work, trying to carry out their assignment. So I'm hoping that, you know what, if you need a synergy, let us have full synergy coming between the federal government and the media, so that we'll be able to do our work properly. Just like I said, whether it's accepted or not, the media or the journalists are the fourth arms of government, because we take it and then we report it. So I think it's very, very important coming from it, because effective reporting is very, very important at a time like this, where we have a number of news flying around. So we really need the right information being channeled to the people.
Honestly, Sele, if you know how misinformed Nigerians are, it will bother you, because recently certain things have been out there, because I'm in a certain situation that the federal government have taken, and there was just so much misinformation. I had to confront certain and just, tell people that, you know what, this is that you are misinformed. Sele, we are very misinformed in this country. It's really bad. And a source is not good enough until it's verified. Even if it is a well-trusted media outlet, it is not good enough until it's verified. Until it's a first-hand information from this media outlet, you just can't take it word to word. And one of the reasons we are misinformed in this country is that once a certain thing is viral, I think viral has become an authentication.
Very true.
And it's wrong, because I see a lot of viral misinformed information. Let me put it like that. We don't do research. Just because that video got 1 million views doesn't mean it's correct or it's right. Because we know that when it comes to viral nature of videos, good publication also makes certain things viral. And just because everybody is saying the same thing doesn't mean it's the right information. So I just hope that Nigerians form the habit of authenticating their sources and doing research, because it's important. We are misinformed even of the littlest thing, even the things happening just behind your fence or happening next door. We do not have proper information because we do not ask the correct questions. We are always swayed by the crowd when it comes to information and all of that. And I would also like to say, to be properly informed also start with the government.
I was
So
about
a
to
lot
say
of
that,
times we are
Rachel.
here, you and I, and we talk about how we wish we would have the right information out there, because even the government doesn't give access to the right information. Even the government misleads its people. Even there are certain things we've said a number of times that these things Nigerians need to really, really know what is happening. But most of the times that is not the case. So we can say thank you to Idris for like applauding media and everybody. And we would like to also ask the government of Nigeria to do better when it comes to giving information, because they can save us the stress of speculating and just assuming what could actually be the we have a lot of work, but so far so good. We are trying our best when it comes to information, but there's still so much that needs to be done.
You know, and just to add up to what you said, Rachel, I think one of the factors, just like you said, the federal government also need to help.
Yeah.
So that the right information is circulated. There have been a breach of communication for a long period of time, and I think that is what is responsible for this fake news and misinformation. For example, the students that were being kidnapped in Kaduna, Rachel, it took the government about a week or over a week to come out and tell us, actually, this was not the number of students. And I remember you and I were saying, why didn't you come out earlier than now to say that these are the number of students that were being abducted from that school?
Yes.
Why did it take you this long? And so just so that we don't have people filling in the information, you come out. That is why we have the Minister of Information. In the state level, we have Commissioner of Information. You have PROs. Even in the various parastatals talking about, even the police have their PR. You come out to give the right information. This is what is happening. The website that has been circulating is not the right website.
Exactly.
Come out and communicate and let people know this is the right information. But the moment you're quiet, what do you expect? Misinformation, fake news will be circulating everywhere. So just like you say, also help the media to report properly. Make the right information available. Do not hoard information. I think that is another problem we're having in this country. We feel certain informations are not for public digestion, and that's why we see everybody speculating. So we hope that the right information will always be in circulation, and I hope they will open themselves to interviews when there is a need for it. Well, thank you so much, Rachel, for doing this with me. Thank you to our viewers and also to every other person that made this program a success. We look forward again to doing this tomorrow with you. To have a great day ahead.